Hey there, Darren. Day 2 of 77. If you're following along, yesterday was a little unclear. I apologize for that. But I was diving in. You might have seen the video where my friends dove into a pool yesterday for New Year's Day. Well, I dove in a different way. I made a commitment. And Gina, I appreciate if you're watching this because you reminded me that when I'm all in, I'm all in. So 77 days, I said I was going to start at 8:17 every morning and update you on my journey and what I'm learning as I go into this new endeavor. Hey there, thank you for the thumbs up there. So day 2, the fear of success. I've always heard of the fear of success and I thought, but honestly, I never had this big fear of success. And for me, I mentioned this yesterday, it was about that. It's probably the imposter syndrome where I feel like, it's not a big deal, but then I take my eyes off the prize, if you will. I lose my focus and I somehow justify it. But I believe inside, thinking about this, I believe inside that I'm really, I don't believe I'm worthy. And I know that seems silly and crazy. I won a trophy, but this is a new day, a new challenge, and just because I did something years ago doesn't mean I'm going to do it again or be successful again in another area that I knew nothing about. Hey, Steve today, and Steve, your consistency is helping me do this, so thank you. So 77-day challenge, if you're joining me, I would love to have you join me. Just something from your journey. If you're an expert, teach. What's one thing you could teach every single day? If you are a motivator, motivate. Something that motivates us every single day. Just do a 2-minute video. And Steve, I love that you're doing it because you're getting better. You're finding your voice. So, all right. So I told a little bit of the story yesterday. So my endeavor to have this real life movie created that I know nothing really about the movie world. So this is 10 years ago, 8 years ago. So I mentioned yesterday that Mike Rayburn had moved to town and we're at a mastermind and he slammed his hands on the thing on a table and he said, "Who are you not to pursue that dream?" And it was a game changer. It was an inciting incident. So I have to tell you more of the story. So I said, okay, I'm in. I'm going to do this. And by the way, this has something to do with what I'm talking about right now. So he said, he got in my face. He convinced me I should pursue it. If you're a motivational speaker, how can you have a big dream and not actually pursue it? Good point. And I remember there was a guy in Canada who he was in my audience. It was a young man in, I think it was Vancouver. And I did a Q&A at the end of the session and he raised his hand. He says, "What are you doing now? What are you working on now?" And it was just like, bam, reality right in the face. That if I'm truly a motivational speaker, I should have my next dream that I'm working on. All right. So Mike Rayburn slams it down, says, "You got to work on this." And I said, okay, well, where can I start? Well, I thought there's Hollywood is driving distance. Hey, Diana, Hollywood is driving distance from Las Vegas. So I thought if I go there and do a workshop for Toastmasters in California, I can then write off the trip and then I can go and talk to or, start doing some networking. So here I am. I make my first quote unquote workshop in California to go meet people in Hollywood. I don't know what I'm doing, but let me give it a shot. So I go there, and there's a woman in the audience, and she looks vaguely familiar, and I do my workshop, I tell my story, and somebody pulls me over after the fact. Hey, Christina, somebody pulls me over after the fact and says, "Do you know who that is?" Now, I've since asked her if I could use her name, and she asked me not to. But she was a former actress on a TV show we've all seen back in the day. And she said to me, "I came here to hear your story." I was like, "What?" "I came here to hear your story." "What, you did?" And so I told her about this dream, this crazy dream about taking my story and turning it into a movie script. And I said, I don't want you to do anything. Just give me some advice. And she said, well, me and my husband actually produce Hallmark movies for the Hallmark Channel. Zoinks? Really? Like, wow. Okay. And so I became, as some of you who know me, I became a sponge. I said, what do I do? And she said, and my goal was to actually find somebody to write the script. I didn't want to write it. I don't know how to write a script. And so I told her that. So where do I look? How can I find somebody? And she said, well, I heard you tell your story. You're a good writer. You need to write this yourself. That's how I felt. So she said, I read scripts all day long. And the biggest challenge I see is structure. Which later on, when I reflected on that, I said, that's the same thing in speaking. One of the biggest challenges is people put together a speech without a structure to follow. And she said, there's a proven Hollywood structure. She said, you got to go get this book. Here I go back to the stand-up comedy club, day number 1, when the comedian headliner said, first thing you do is go get this book. Well, that's what she did. She said, go get this book. And it's a book named by a guy named Sid Field. So, of course, I went out and I got the book. So I be a sponge, I start reading it, and yeah, there's more to the story. I'll continue it from there, but I went out and I got the book. So tomorrow I'll tell you kind of a next kind of crazy thing that happened in this journey. So this is actually, if you watch this, Sherry, this is actually the foam core that I was talking to you about. Sorry for the lighting, shadowing. Wasn't planning on that today. But this is, if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey. So there's plot points. So basically, I know it's harder to see, but I took Joseph Campbell's model that he teaches, and I studied his videos, and I put out the plot points on what happens with the hero in the different scenes. And then when I came up with the ideas for my film with the scenes, I wrote them on a post-it note, and I plotted them out. And this was the beginning of the script that I made, that I wrote. So this is the structure, and I wanted it big. I wanted to be able to kind of war room it, if you will. And so this is the script the structure that began it, based on learning from Sid Field and learning from Joseph Campbell. I studied his YouTube videos over and over again. So today, 17 minutes to your dream. So what I did today, thank you, Diana. Yeah, it was fun and it was exciting. And then when I would think of part of my journey, I would come up with the idea. I'm like, I know that scene. So I'd write it down. And I would post it on here. Anyway, so the fear of success, going back to that, I think once I got to having it done, having the script done, I think I just let other things get in the way. And I thought it was the pandemic, and I went back and I looked at my notes. It wasn't. I had that fear and pushed it aside before all the craziness happened. So that's why I'm diving back in. That's why I'm doing this. My goal is to make at least 17 minutes of progress a day. Why 17? Good question. There's no rhyme or reason to the 17 minutes. That was my football number in high school. Hey, Pete, welcome. That was my football number in high school. But my goal is that I start a stopwatch and I write, or in this case, I'm rewriting. I got some coaching from Michael Haig, so I'm going back over the script. I want to sit down and write or work on my dream for 17 minutes a day. If you can't work on your dream and carve out 17 minutes, it's never going to happen. We've got to take definite positive progress every single day. I saw a TV commercial. I saw it again yesterday. So I can't take credit for this. It's not my line, but it's progress is perfection. Progress is perfection. So what can you do today to move a little closer to your dream? So today I sat down, I broke open the Michael Haig coaching, And I started going through point by point and then going and fixing things in the script that he said needed fixing. So I got through 3 of them today. I've done 25 minutes. And my goal is to do at least 17. And some days when you're on a roll, you're going to do an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever that is. And my other little bit of advice that I heard when writing a book was write before breakfast. And that's what I'm doing. I didn't eat yet. I'm writing before breakfast because life gets in the way. So if you're going to take me up on this 77-day challenge, so 77 days, post a 2-minute, a 1-minute Facebook Live just to help people from your journey. Again, if you're an expert, what did you learn from what you studied? What did you learn from experience? Just give us one tiny little tip every day. The cool thing is people will watch it, they'll be helped, and maybe they'll pass it on to somebody else. So here's a simple structure, ironically, for you and your little videos. So I'm thinking that's coming out backwards. Well, I'll read it to you. So start a timer. And I love this quote in the Bible. It says, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will have troubles of its own. So just worry about what are you going to write about. And if last time I did a challenge last year, I just wrote down ideas. Whenever I got ideas, I would write down the ideas. And then that morning when I was going to do my little video, I just looked at my ideas and I thought, which one resonates with me most today? And if you just do one, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't care. We don't care. Even if you don't say anything, you did the video. You moved forward and then you got closer to something that would be good content. So don't worry about what you're going to talk about. Just choose one today and go. 77 days. Right before breakfast, start a list. Oh, here's the, I think it's backwards. Oops, I'll have to learn how to, I'll fix that next time. But number 1, how can we relate? This fear of success. Bring it up. What is that relatable idea? Tell us a story. That's supposed to stay story if it wasn't backwards. And then 3, give us the aha. So really simple structure for your videos if you follow along. What's the relatable idea? Tell us a story about how you learned it or that relates to learning it, and then give us the aha. Don't overcomplicate it. So I hope you take me up on this challenge, a 77-day challenge. This is my day 2. The fear of success. It's not this big overriding fear. For me, it was just not committing and not following through because I didn't think I was worthy. And I think a lot of us have that challenge, especially if you're in the self-development world. That's one of the reasons we love the self-development world, is because we've got our own insecurities from childhood or people who lied to us or did bad things. So, but here's the thing. It took me 77 days to write the championship speech to bring me the trophy, but who cares? But it was 77 days. So 77 days, full all in, commit, something relatable, why we should listen, tell us a story, and then give us the ha-ha. Don't overcomplicate it. Do it for 1 minute, do it for 30 seconds, do it for 5 minutes, whatever that is for you. So this is day 2 of the challenge. Fear of success, but part of my story is actually realizing structure is critical to creating a film. And by the way, I was inspired by Rudy creating his film, although he didn't write it himself, because we all get different journeys. What's your journey? Teach us from your journey. See you tomorrow.